Hello, this week I want to talk about where we go from here. Over the weekend I ended up designing a roadmap. First of all, I thought I'd share that with you and talk about the journey. Welcome to the Mindfuckery podcast, which is FeedSpot's fifth must-listen to podcast on emotional abuse. I'm your host Elizabeth, and in here we explore areas others are fear to tread. Through my own personal journey, I know how much this hurts and how confusing life becomes. So many questions, no closure and no real answers. I've been a woundologist for over 20 years. I'm the unintentional author of Finding Lily, the A to Z of emotional abuse and divorce matters. I help you clear past life wounds, ancestral trauma and this life wounding. And as the founder of the Inner Healing Sanctuary, I've created Wound Talking, The Original Wound and Quantum Glow. I'm on a mission to help educate as many people as I can on the effects of trauma on our lives and our children's lives, and healing the wounds of our mothers and our fathers. It stops here, it stops now, it stops with us. So welcome along for the journey of a lifetime. And as ever, you are very, very welcome, whether you're brand new, whether you're returning. There's lots of resources on this podcast. I've also got resources on YouTube. There's blog posts that I'm still converting from my old website into the Inner Healing Sanctuary. It's just getting the time. Over the weekend, I was sorting out some of the freebies and I was doing grammar checks and things like that. And I decided to rewrite some emails that go out that were attached to, I think it was the free journaling prompts. And as I was writing those emails, I started to talk about taking the red pill or the blue pill on this healing journey. And then following from that, I went and quickly created a roadmap of resources that are available through various different forms throughout, as I said, the podcast, the YouTube and free resources that I offer. And then when I was thinking about it, I split it into two parts because there are different parts to healing. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. It's a red pill, blue pill moment. How deep do you go? Do you want to go back to your old life with the blue pill as it was, as you were, or do you want to take the red pill and delve deeper into that healing? Now, depending how you got to this point, what the wounding was, whether it's come from a relationship or whether it's you've woken up to something, you're in pain. That's where it starts. It starts with pain. And I've been working with people coming out of narcissistic or emotionally abusive relationships. That pain is horrific. It's undescribable, or is it indescribable? It has you on your knees. It takes you to the floor, and 1 minute you feel nothing, you're completely numb and you're walking around not even in your body, and then next minute the only time you feel is with this pain. Something hurts on such a deep level and there seems to be nothing in between, and your brain isn't functioning. All you can think about is what you've done wrong and how you can get back to that place where you were important, where you were seen and heard. And this is what it's about, this cycle of abuse that takes you round. And this comes to the point where this pain is so intense is usually at the final discard. There will be multiple discards throughout that relationship, whether it's affairs, whether it's betrayals, forms of abandonment, shameful experiences. They put you through this on could be a daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis, stripping you back, stripping away who you are, reprogramming you to who they want you to be, which is subservient to them. You manage your life via their emotions. That's walking on eggshells, picking up on what's going on, being wary of what you're saying and what you're doing, how you're dressing, how you're behaving, who you're speaking to. And if anyone was to point that out, you defend them. And that continues for a long time, even after the relationship's over. And where does that come from? Is it because, and I don't have the exact answer, I think I do, but when I talk about having honest conversations with yourself, these are the things, these are the moments where you can truly you can ask this question and only give yourself the answer. If I was to ask you, you might justify it. If I was to answer it to you, I might justify it. And that's where it comes down to. Personally, I believe it's the justification of the decisions made in that moment or during that relationship, justifying your actions because on some level you knew there was something wrong with that. And this is where taking responsibility for the role that you you played in that relationship, whether that's a family relationship, a romantic relationship, a relationship at work. You played a role, and taking ownership of that is so powerful. And that power can even come whether you're openly taking ownership in front of other people, whether you're doing it for yourself and having these conversations with yourself. And those conversations are so important, as are the words you use. And part of that manipulation that went on, part of the reprogramming that went on, came with gaslighting, triangulation, many forms of manipulation, word salad. Oh, there's so many. That's why I wrote the A to Z of emotional abuse, because I was reading or listening to people talk about things. And I think, I don't know what that term is. I don't know what that term is. What does that mean? And I'd have to go off and I get distracted. And when your brain doesn't work particularly well anyway, it was helpful for me to write it all down. I thought, well, if I'm looking that up and not knowing what this is, let me put it into a book. It started off as YouTube videos, and then it grew from there. But there's so many forms of manipulation, and when you're confused and you've got these emotions going on in your body, you don't know what's going on, it's helpful to have the first part of the roadmap to suck you into this relationship. They love bomb you. That's the first part of the cycle of abuse, love bombing. And then they put you down. So little tiny things and little things about maybe what you're wearing or what you look like, or little comments. Then they take you back to the love bombing. Then they do that again. They go take you through these stages of these little tiny put downs, and then they'll discard you in some way. And it might be that you can't get hold of them. It might be that they disappear for a day or two without any explanation, making you feel something weird going on in your body. And then they reappear, take you back to the love bombing stage, you sigh relief, and this goes on. This is how they trap you. This is how they get you caught up in all these emotions. So this is why I wrote the roadmap in 2 sections, because in the first part, coming out of these relationships, this is more about nurturing. You've got time on your hands, because this complete discard, the final discard where they've walked away or you've walked away, your body has been trained, your mind has been trained. You're expecting now a hit of hormones, because when you get to this point where they've left before, they always come back. There's some form of internal sigh of relief, but in a hormonal way, and you will receive a hormone release and your body and everything feels comfortable again. It's okay, this is normal. But with the final discard, it doesn't happen, and all of a sudden you're feeling really uncomfortable, and what you want to do is reach out. And that's when I say reach in and find out internally what's going on, whether that's having conversations with yourself. And so the first roadmap has things like grounding. The start here part is grounding. There's lots of different meditations. The most important point, or the most important thing you can do, is to stay in your body. And this is free. I've created this, it's free. I'll put the links in the description. You can go and grab a copy and download it. And as I said, it's got links, so they'll take you through to certain meditations. Now, some you'll really like, others you might think, oh no, that's just not for me. This is your journey. This is why it's so important for you to start taking control. I'll give you the guidelines. What really helped me was I was in that space where I really didn't know. Initially, it was, wow, I can breathe again. And there's not this pressure. It didn't last long. And weird things were happening. And I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel panicky, and I was starting to feel all sorts of different emotions. But I decided that I really wanted to experience everything. I wanted to heal on such a deep level. So right at the beginning, I decided I was going for the red pill. No matter what, I was not going back to living that life again, to attracting another person who could even be worse than I'd experienced. That was it. I was done. I was also in the healing field anyway, a spiritual life coach, and I've worked with past life regression, all sorts of really deep healing modalities and ones that I've created and since then have created as well. Over a period of time, things started to calm down, but what I did realise was I did end up in rumination for a long time. And these were like a week at a time, maybe 5 days at a time, where this was all my fault. My emotions were all over the place. And I was running a meditation workshop online, and it was over 7 days. And what I was finding or what I realised was when I was really grounded in my body, when I was responding much better, because I was going through the divorce process at that time and it was really triggering. And I said I'd run off for 5 days, lose myself for 5 days. And some of the techniques I discovered were writing the story, grounding, breathing, and literally staying in the body, because the mind has been tricked. The mind has been tricked to go and find all the scenarios where this is your fault, all of them. So where it's happened in this relationship, in other relationships, I was constantly told that I had trust issues, and that was from other relationships. Now, the trust issues came from the infidelities at the beginning of our relationship, but because I couldn't think, I wasn't able to challenge some of these statements. There were times when I'd say, hang on, no, my gut feeling, I was right at the beginning of the relationship, and I'm getting that gut feeling now that something's not right. So I was able at times to step in and say things, but over a period of time, over a few years, I'd been convinced of this story, and I'd stop and then my mind would race to other relationships. So this is why it's so important to stay in your body, because in your body, you're not thinking, you're not in touch with your emotions. We need to be in touch with that gut feeling. We need to be reactivating it. We need to be talking to it. We need to be gently trusting it again, because the gut is really our brain. We've got two brains. We've got the gut and our thinking brain. Our thinking brain has been tricked. It's been told that what we think is the truth is actually a lie, and it's been told that the lies are actually the truth. So we get to this point, we can ground, we can get in our body, writing out the story, start to finish, the relationship. You start to see the patterns of what happened and how you were manipulated. You might see the patterns of Christmas, where they always used to ruin it, or a family gathering that got ruined, or something else that happened where they intentionally created some form of chaos. They never went out with you, or they never attended weddings or birthdays or family events. So you'll start to see those patterns. Then once you can see the patterns, your body starts to calm down. And some of these triggers where you're expecting the hits from the dopamine and oxytocin and all the hormone hits that you were getting will start to calm down as well. That's why it's so vitally important to be grounded and in your body. So then we get to the point we say, right, okay, feeling loads better. I really am over them. I never want them in my life again. I've broken through that. And actually they start to repulse me now, thinking about them. So the ultimate goal is to be divorced emotionally. And what that means is that you have nothing. You feel nothing. You see their name pop up, or you're in contact with them for children or things like that. You actually feel nothing towards them. You don't feel that you want them back in your life, and you don't feel that you hate them. There's absolutely nothing. You don't feel that you want to get them back, because that's a wound, that will play out for a period of time until that's healed. So at this point, the ultimate goal is, or personally for me, is to be emotionally divorce emotionally, have no feelings towards them. So the next stage is you sit here and say, okay, well, I feel okay now and I don't feel that I need any more. For me, the next stage is I want to do the deeper stuff. I don't ever want to experience this again. I don't ever want to go through this again. And so I've gone and created a second roadmap that follows on from that. So the next book takes you further in. It's all about healing the wounds. It's got access to videos and YouTube meditations, and it's also got links to some of the workbooks that I've written as well. So you've got the two variations. I can get you so far down the path where you might think, okay, I'm done. I'm happy now with my life and where I am, and I'm over this and I want to move on. Or you can say, like me, right, I need to do this. I need to go a bit further. I need to find out where this comes from. I need to heal the wounds that I had that allowed this person into my life and allowed me to think, well, that's okay for them to treat me like that, or to have switched off to the fact that they do treat me because this is something I've experienced in the past, I've experienced before. So as I said, I'll put the links in there. I wanted to talk about the journey because the journey is so important. Your destination is different to my destination. You might like the tropics and I like the heat of European countries, or you might like the cold weather and I would pick heat over cold any time. You might like city breaks and I like beach holidays. We are all different, and it might be that I like a beach holiday with things that I can do in a city or touristy things. And I can pick and choose what I want to do. And this is exactly the same. You pick your own itinerary. For me, this was about healing ancestral wounding because that's my background. I wanted to go back and make sure that I'd fully cleared everything. And I'm sure that there will be other things that come up, but that was the most important part. And then sharing with you and people like you that have experienced this excruciating pain, ways of healing. And whether that's you do it through the meditations or whether you want to book a one-to-one session, that's your choice. And this is what I want to give you. I want to give you permission to make those choices because a lot of that was taken away and the power comes from that. I hope this week's been helpful. The links will be down below in the description, and as ever, I'm sending you loads and loads of love.